we're in a state of hypnosis until we are 7 or 8 years old. We are
Okay.
downloading our environment as truth. That's how kids
Oh,
keep themselves safe, is because they have to match the adults in their life so that their adults wanna take care of them. It's just a biological thing. And we're learning about the world by downloading the truths, quote unquote truths of our environment. So basically, we're downloading the belief systems of the adults around us.
hey, Soul Sisters. Today we are diving into something every woman has asked herself at some point.
Why does it feel like I'm doing all the right things, the journaling, the affirmations, the visualizations, and still getting stuck?
Exactly. And if that's you, you are going to love today's episode. Today's guest, Robyn Holm, who is a clinical hypnotherapist, BodyTalk practitioner, and former international fitness presenter with over 22 years in health and fitness.
She specializes in helping sensitive souls and empaths regulate their nervous systems, release subconscious patterns, and finally create lasting transformation, manifesting the life they truly want.
And in this episode, Robyn is sharing how to work through your body, not just your mind, to reprogram your subconscious, break self sabotage cycles, and step into alignment with what you're here to receive.
So grab your notebook, soul sisters, because the conversation's going to change the way you think about manifestation forever.
Let's welcome Robyn Holm to the show.
Welcome, Robyn.
Ladies, thank you so much for having me here. I was so excited when I got your email saying that I had been accepted as a guest. I was like, I'm so stoked to be here.
Well, we're just as happy. We're just as excited to have you here, Robyn. So, I think first and foremost, like just to give everybody a bit of a background, how did you get started in this work? Like, what was that? What was that pivotal moment, and how did you get into the work that you're doing today?
It was very measurable, which was a really nice thing for the way that my brain works. I come from the fitness industry. So I was in the fitness industry for 10 years before getting into somatic mind body and then hypnotherapy. So I was very much like the body. And if you do A plus B, that will equal C. And that just made a lot of sense to me working in the fitness industry. But I had these clients who would be doing everything right on paper, literally everything. They would bring me food journals. And they could not lose weight, for example. They'd be stuck in these, in not being able to shed extra weight that they were holding. And it was so frustrating for them. And I would really wonder about that. Like, what is going on here? And then fast forward a little ways into time, and I was trying to get pregnant. And it took me 12 years to conceive my son. So I was in the fitness industry. I was fit, I was healthy. I had unexplained infertility. There was no reason. And I actually started IVF, which is in vitro fertilization, where they take an egg and they take a sperm and they put them together and then they put it into your uterus. And I still wasn't getting pregnant. I was 27. So I was
Mm.
like, if it was just about the body, if you take an egg and a sperm and you make an embryo and you put it into a woman's uterus, it should work 100% of the time. But IVF only works like 30% of the time if you're lucky. So I was like, what is
Mhm.
going on here? And at the time, even yoga was too woo woo for me. I was like, I don't really want to do that. Anything that felt kind of woo woo like that was just something that I would really stay away from. But it started me thinking, like, what is happening here? Then my second round of IVF, when I was doing the drug, like putting the drugs into my body that time, the first time I had ovaries that had so much potential. And the doctors were like, you know what? We'll just give you the lowest amount of drugs because you're 27, you have all this potential, and you're going to end up with like hyper stimulation syndrome. And I got one egg, one follicle took all of the drugs, and I ended up with one egg. And they were like, we don't know why this happened. And this might happen to you every time. So I'm 27 years old, and they're telling me you're probably never going to have a baby. And I was absolutely devastated, ruined by this information. So about 9 months later, I was like, no, we're going to try this again. We're going to try this again. I still wasn't even 28 yet. Did another round of IVF, but this time, because I knew one follicle had sucked up all of the drugs. So this time, when I was injecting the drugs, I just imagined the drugs going evenly to each follicle in my ovary. So I would inject the drugs, I'd put my hands on my ovaries, and I would imagine it going evenly to each follicle. Well, the
Mm.
next time I went in for a scan, she looked at my ovaries and they looked like these honeycombs. And she's like, this is like looking at a different woman's ovaries. And that time I got 22
Oh,
eggs from 1
wow.
to 22, 9 months apart. And I was like, okay, there's something to this mind body connection. And that's what
Wow.
started me asking questions. And that's what started me being curious that maybe it's not just A plus B equals C. There must be more at play here. Well, fast forward another.
Mhm.
So I actually didn't even have my first baby till I was 36. So I was 27 that time. 5 embryos, didn't never got pregnant. And then I went back into the whole mind body experience, and that's how I came across body talk, which has to do with the stories that we store in our body that can cause dysfunction. So then I did that for a bunch of years. I still wasn't getting pregnant. And then I came across hypnotherapy. And my hypnotherapist was like, unexplained infertility is almost always a subconscious block. I was like, well, what is the subconscious? Your subconscious is the part of your brain that stores your programs and your belief systems. And up until this point, my subconscious was storing the program of IVF does not work for me. I'd had 7 embryo transfers, never got pregnant, had never seen a positive pregnancy test. You guys, I could not even imagine looking down at a positive pregnancy test. At this point, I was 11 years into my journey, 11 years of negative pregnancy
Yeah.
tests. So my subconscious was running the belief system of this is not possible. It doesn't make sense. If I was
Mhm.
going to get pregnant, wouldn't I be pregnant by now? My neighbor looks at her husband and she's pregnant. Like, what is wrong with me? Why me? It didn't make any sense. So when I started working with her, I felt so much hope because she's like, yeah, it's usually a subconscious block. So then also in my subconscious, I had these belief systems that I didn't realize I was running. So consciously, we're only there 5% of the time. 5% of the time, we are consciously paying attention. And then 95% of the time, we are running out of the programs that we've gathered throughout our lifetime. And I'm the second oldest of 8 kids.
Mm.
I babysat constantly very young. I'd already taken care of kids my whole life, and I have a brother who is severely developmentally delayed. I was terrified
Mm.
of having a baby with those kinds of challenges. Consciously, I knew that was not likely, but subconsciously, I was really,
Yeah.
really scared. So when I started working with my hypnotherapist, we started reprogramming the belief systems that my body was running. And here's what's really interesting. Once we started reprogramming that, I started working with a new fertility doctor. And he said that he thinks that unexplained infertility is an immune system issue where your immune system attacks the embryos. So this was really interesting because this is what was
Mm.
going on for me is my immune system was attacking embryos. So that's subconscious. The body goes, well, there's nothing physically wrong with me, but we know that it's not safe for Robyn to have a baby.
Wow.
What we're going to do, we're going to make sure that that embryo does not attach. So through a combination of hypnotherapy, of me, clearing
Yeah.
those belief systems that I had and updating the programs in my subconscious, I then did another round of IVF with immunosuppressants and hypnotherapy, and then I got pregnant. So
Wow.
that's how I got into
That's
this.
That's
a journey
incredible.
of that feels like a heavy journey.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And such a powerful journey too, Robyn,
Mhm.
because I mean, look at where it's led you today. And now you've gone on to help other people all over being able to identify their own beliefs, their own blocks, and really helping them to take those away and set the foundation for new empowering beliefs, a new way of being so that they can actually live the lives that they want to be living, whether that's having a baby of their own or starting a business or whatever that might be. But I think it's powerful when you spoke to the fact that 95% of our daily lives are run by the subconscious,
Isn't that
which we're
wild?
not even aware of. How do you become aware of the limiting beliefs, the blocks that are actually holding you back that are within the subconscious?
Oh, I love this question. So the first thing is awareness. The first thing is, where do you feel stuck? Where do you feel stuck?
Mhm.
If you feel stuck moving forward with something, that's usually a subconscious block. So that's one of the
Mhm.
ways, it's just awareness of, because you know how sometimes we can be like, well, the world is just happening to me. I have no choice. I have no control. It can really feel that way when you don't understand how to harness the subconscious mind. So one of the ways that you can figure it out, first of all, is where do I feel stuck? What patterns are repeating? So being able to look at your life and be like, wow, this shows up all the time for me. Isn't that interesting? Sometimes talking with a great friend is another way that you can get some of those insights, let's say, to what is going on in your subconscious. But stuck and overreactions. This is what I say to my clients all the time. If you have a situation where you overreact, your response is bigger than it should be, and you're like, whoa, where the heck did that come from? That is usually a
Mm.
sign that you're running a program that's out of date.
So, okay, I'm gonna use money because I think money is a big thing for a lot of people. So maybe it's like making more money, keeping the money that you make, being able to expand your income. What can you tell us about that? Can we dive into that? If like a woman here right now is being like, hey, like I'm stuck. Like what what can we how can we address that?
Money blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we all have a set point in our subconscious for how good we think things are allowed to get for us. How good we think things are allowed to get for us. We all have a set point.
Mm,
You could think thermostat, think about it like a glass ceiling. If you've ever read the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, that goes
mhm.
into how we up or limit ourselves. That book is so phenomenal. And
Okay.
when we have this set point for how good we think things are going to get for us, the subconscious is like, no more for Sherry. That's enough now. And then you'll bring in a way to self-sabotage. So whether that means now your subconscious will start to run the program kind of like my immune system did with the embryos of like, oh, Robin can't get pregnant. That's not safe. Quickly attack the embryos because everything else is
Unsafe.
fine. Yeah. So it all comes down to nervous system safety. So
Right.
if you are feeling like, if you have a belief system, let's say from your parents of working, you have to work hard. Work is
Mhm.
hard. You have to grind. You punch the clock. You don't enjoy work. Heavens no. Money doesn't come,
Mhm,
doesn't
mhm.
grow on trees. Those kinds of belief systems that perhaps you've heard since you were a little kid. Even if you don't want to believe those things in your conscious mind, your subconscious might still be running that program. And the way that
Mm,
responds to that is your subconscious mind will always go with what is familiar over what you
mhm.
actually want. So if you're like, I want abundance, I want abundance, I want to make a bunch of money, but in your subconscious, you believe it's not safe for me to make money because if I do, I might get ostracized. People might think I'm stuck up. People might think this. There can be these underlying belief systems that will
Yeah.
then cause you to self-sabotage.
Correct. Can you share some physical signs when someone's rejecting the safety of holding success?
Oh yeah. So it could be like dry mouth, sweaty palms, rash. You can see like when you get the histamine rash from like stress,
Yeah. Okay.
from excitement, but that's your body now saying, I have connected in the subconscious this program with not being safe. And there can be so many underlying belief systems. I have a list of like 25 that I check with people when I'm working with them.
Mhm.
Because consciously, you can be like, oh, yeah, I believe that I'm worthy of success. But subconsciously, what I see
Yeah.
in my empaths is empaths who are like really great at putting themselves into other people's shoes. They really feel
Right.
into other people's shoes really well. Empath,
Mhm.
funny belief where like if I take from the pot, somebody else misses out.
Oh,
Mm.
So empaths can have this belief of like there isn't,
Wow.
it's not infinite. Like there's not enough to go around. Therefore, you have it, Whitley, and I'll do without. It's fine.
Wow.
That's an interesting.
that's very
It
interesting.
is, right? And that's a subconscious belief that so many empaths would hold.
I see it all the time in my practice. Yeah, where they're like, ooh, or it can come from a belief system when you're a kid of like, don't be greedy. Don't
Mm.
ask for more. Be happy with what you've got. So then and I'm not
Mm.
don't be grateful. Gratitude is very different than toxic positivity, which is like, just be grateful. Don't ask for more. A lot of us were raised like that, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I was actually raised like that. And I know this because when I remember it. So when you remember those things subconscious, like they're in the back of my head, but I remember it being at the grocery store and not wanting to ask my mom for the fruit roll-ups, you know? And I would feel like, no, I would be taking away her money and it's not, it's greedy or, so I can like that probably came with me as an adult, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
love you said that because that memory came back to you. It just
Mhm.
bubbled up with me saying some things. You're like, "Oh, yes." And so that's your subconscious showing you, "Hey, Sherry, there's something that you are ready to
Yeah.
shift here." Isn't that
Right.
cool?
Ooh, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
I
So
love that.
cool. I'm totally comfortable with abundance. I believe that there's more for me, but if that little self so Sherry, how old were you when you wanted to ask for the fruit roll up, but you didn't wanna take your mom's money?
I was like probably 7 or
Mhm.
8. Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
7, 8. So we're in a state of hypnosis until we are 7 or 8 years old. We are downloading our environment as truth. That's how kids keep themselves safe is because they have to match the adults in their life so that their adults wanna take care of them. It's just a biological thing. We're learning about the world by downloading the truths, quote unquote truths of our environment. So basically, we're downloading the belief systems of the adults around us.
I've actually heard about this before. From
Hmm.
0 to 7 is that point in time where you're basically going to have all of the belief systems, everything into adulthood. So, with that being said, Robin, does that mean that basically all of our subconscious programming is run from 0 to 7? And so, if we were to dig into our past from those ages, is that where we're gonna find a lot of the stuff that is holding us back right now in life?
I love this question. So, there are 3 ways that we put stuff into our subconscious. 3 ways. First of all, until we're 7, we're just downloading it to be true in the environment. So, if you think about it this way, I had never had curry until I think the first time I ever ate curry was when I was 17 years old, and I remember it so clearly. It was at a food truck, and I was like, "Where has this been my entire life?" I had never even tried flavor profiles like that because I grew up on a farm, rural in
Mm.
Ontario, and we ate potatoes. That was what we ate. So, that wasn't even in my database up until that point. It wasn't in
Mhm.
my subconscious
Mhm.
anywhere. But now I have the belief system of I love curry, and it started at 17. That was the first time there was an emotional response to how delicious this food was in my mouth. And so then the subconscious stores it as, "Ooh, Robin likes this." So now every time I ate curry after that, repetition laid down that pathway of Robin likes curry. So there was a big emotion, and then there was
Mm.
repetition every time I ate curry. So that's in my subconscious, Robin likes curry. That's there. I didn't get that before I was
Yeah.
so the subconscious does it a couple ways. Before you're 7, you're downloading. After 7,
Mhm.
it's through repetition. Think about when you
Mhm.
learn to drive a car, and in the beginning, you're like, there's all these steps that you're trying to think about, and it's really overwhelming. But then after you've practiced for 30 days, you can, like, drink a
Mhm.
coffee, put on your mascara, and drive at the same time. Not that you should, but you probably could. Your subconscious is driving the car, not your conscious mind anymore.
That's why they say you're like it's almost like hypnosis when you're driving a car. Like you're going on autopilot, basically.
Mhm, exactly. When you
Oh,
can't remember where you just drove, that's your subconscious driving, yeah. So, repetition and then,
autopilot.
a big emotion before you're 7 or repetition.
Uh-huh.
Those are the ways the subconscious learns. So, you have to either do it over and over and over again. Now, the reason I love
Mhm.
hypnosis is we speed that up because we bypass what's called the critical mind, and we go straight into the subconscious, and we can reframe or change what's down there and update our programs through hypnosis.
I have a question because this
Okay.
is super powerful and this is something that I've been doing for many years. And anytime that I want to update a belief system, I've
Mhm.
always had to first identify, okay, what are the things that I don't believe is true? And then I would write down, okay, well, what beliefs would I need to replace those with? And so those new beliefs that I would write down would become affirmations that I would say out daily every day. But then at nighttime, what I would do is I would actually listen to tracks that were subconscious reprogramming tracks. So sometimes it would be like a soft kind of guided meditation, but then it would just be affirmations as well as like paired with like more of like healing frequency sounds that would play in the background as it's saying those affirmations. And I've had incredible results with that over the years. And I would do that at nighttime as I'm sleeping, either play it on my phone or I would put headphones in. But I feel like it's worked. It's a bit of a slow process, I will admit, like, it's a slow process, like you said, I think it's repetition, but it's super powerful, and I've been using it for years. What are your thoughts on that?
So you're doing hypnosis. That's what that is. And there's two ways that you're doing it. First of all, you're bypassing the critical faculty with the music and the relaxation. And you're doing it right before you go to sleep, which is a natural hypnotic window when our subconscious mind is
Oh,
already here.
yeah.
So, first thing in the morning before you even open
Mhm.
your eyes and right before you drift off. And then while you're sleeping, if you're listening to it while you're sleeping, your subconscious doesn't sleep. So it's listening and you're bypassing your critical faculty because your critical faculty is asleep. So that's great.
Wow.
The
Okay.
reason, though, that it took longer is so I think it was Sherry that asked me, and I'm sorry if I can't remember who, but it was, you said, is the clue in the first 7 years? And the answer to that is yes, often the root of a belief system
Mhm,
usually comes from before we are 7. Usually.
mhm,
The subconscious knows what that root is, and consciously, we often don't know. So, Sherry, you said, I remember I was 7 or 8. I wanted to ask for the fruit roll up, but I didn't. So, before that, before you were 7, you would have developed the belief
mhm,
system of there's not enough to go around. If I ask for something, I'm
mhm,
taking someone else. So, we would ask your
mhm,
subconscious, what's the very first time that Sherry felt like this? That feeling that you felt in the grocery store where you wanted to ask, but you couldn't
mhm,
and didn't? Do you remember what the feeling felt like in your body?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember it all. It's one of those feelings where I'm like, I really wanted it, but I couldn't ask for it, and I didn't wanna hurt my mother. I didn't want her to feel mad or angry or disappointed because I asked her for it. So I just brushed it off, but I wanted the fruit roll-up.
And when you remember wanting the fruit
Yeah,
roll, you feel that wanting in your body, that feeling of wanting it?
yeah, yeah, I could taste it. Could taste
So then, if we were in hypnosis together, I would
yeah,
say, conscious mind, take us back to the very first time that Sherry felt that feeling of wanting and not being allowed to ask.
Mhm,
And then your subconscious in hypnosis would give us a memory, or you would hear like the
mhm,
number 3 or something like that. And then we continue. And then what we do then is we're looking for the root the very first time, and that's called regression. So in my practice, I do
ooh,
regression because Whitley, like you just
mhm,
said, you can do what's called direct suggestion, which is what you are doing every night, which is brilliant, great tool. It's called direct suggestion, where we're telling the subconscious, hey, write this program on top of the other ones that are there. But the old programs are still
mhm,
running. It takes a little while to override them with what you actually want through repetition and hypnosis. With regression, we say, subconscious mind, take us back to the very first time that Sherry felt that feeling of wanting something that she could not ask for. And now the subconscious will bring us back to the very first time, which is subconscious. So you'll be like, oh, like 3 years old, I don't have memories from when I'm 3, but your subconscious does.
mm,
And then it'll come up. And then what we do, this is the coolest part, we do something called a reframe, which is we talk to that younger self
mhm,
with your adult perspective, because a lot of the time the belief system will be it's my fault. This is so funny how kids do this. They'll think it's their fault. So it'd be like, I'm expensive. It's my fault that I'm expensive and I cost money. So therefore, I have to take up as little space as possible, never
right,
ask for
guilt. Mhm, mhm.
guilt. Yeah. So we would
Yeah,
that time, Sherry, and we would say, this is not your fault. You know, your parents love you, whatever it might be to help you feel better in that moment and do the reframe. And then
mhm,
I always put in a bubble of protection for that younger self, a bubble of protection. So that
yeah,
younger self, I'll be like, gift them a bubble of protection so that they can understand, oh, sometimes adults are stressed, but that's not my fault. It's not because of me.
yeah.
It's not mine to fix.
Okay, so I want to share this because I think this is relevant because it's coming back to me now. As you're talking, I'm like, okay, this is coming back to me. So it's actually my parents had this strained relationship too, right? It was all about money. They always talked about money. And my father would only give my mother $50 for groceries. So I think that's kind of where it came from because if he was only giving her $50 for what we needed to eat, my fruit roll up was taking away from the household nutrition or what we needed. And I was taking away from my mother's pocket because my dad didn't give her enough. So I think it was like a combination of a couple things, right? Not to make this session about me, but
It's
I'm just
always a
remembering
combination.
it.
But I really appreciate you sharing that. It's so generous of you to share because I think it will really help the people listening to understand. They'll see themselves in your story and see how the
Mm.
subconscious works. Is first, we just sat with this feeling that you felt in the grocery store. And I said, remember that feeling. And then I said, subconscious mind, take us back to the very first time. And now your subconscious gave you perspective over why you felt that way.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
But as a
That's
kid,
Crazy.
isn't it cool?
That's
And that's
crazy.
so
Yeah.
And that's well, we just call that eyes open hypnosis, like that. Or we can do eyes closed, hypnotic
okay.
state, deep and deeper, but we can access so much of our subconscious to reprogram just through what we just did right now.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is so, so cool. This is fascinating because I feel like you're giving a lot of, like, terms and actual explanation to a lot of the things and tools that I've been doing over the years. Like, when you were just talking about regression and you said reframing, I actually remember this one memory coming up, and this was just me in meditation and kind of, like, feeling into some of, like, my older, I guess, child wounds, and I remember having this one memory with my father and my sister, and we were going out somewheres to eat, and we were so excited to eat at this place. But when it came time to pay, when my dad went up to the counter to pay, his credit card had gotten declined, I think, like if something was wrong with the credit card, so we actually couldn't eat. So for whatever reason, that memory brought a lot of pain and a lot of feelings of like hurt and almost like unworthiness, and I'm not even sure. It was just a memory that came up. But what I did was I actually went back to that memory and I changed it. So I basically replayed it in the way
Mm.
that brought me feelings of joy and happiness. And so when we went there, I'm playing this out as a movie in my mind, and I'm now picturing my dad, like, paying for it, and my sister and me and him, we all have ice cream, and we're laughing, and it's a happy memory, and it never came back to me, and it's, like, almost like it
Mhm.
dissolved a part that I held on to, and maybe it was a little bit of, like, shame that I was also feeling for my dad too. So, yeah, so it's so, so fascinating to hear you give these actual terms and practices that you use in your work, Robin, and that you go deeper with your clients to really, like, pinpoint, because it's not easy. It's not easy going in and finding and uncovering these things too, and it's obviously way more powerful when you can have somebody outside of you to help guide you through it. I really wanted to ask you about, because I feel like we're talking a lot about the mind, but you had mentioned it early on from your journey about the mind-body connection. So I would love to, like, dive into how does the body correlate with all of this?
Such a good question. So you know how I kept asking Sherry, how did it feel in your body when you couldn't have the fruit roll up? How did it feel in your body? How did it feel? So your body is always giving you information. And so Whitley, even for you, when you think about like, and so what you did was so astute that you were able to go in and reframe and give yourself what you needed. And then the reason it didn't come back to you again after that is because the subconscious then stores that as truth. The subconscious
Oh,
no, because all memories are false memories, basically. It's all about perception. So
okay.
the way I perceive something is gonna be different than how you perceive it. The neuroscience even shows that how I see the color blue will be different than either of you because we grew up in different places. Your blue is different than my blue.
That's nuts. That's
How
crazy.
it
What?
is. Well, Whitley, when you said you were able to do that in meditation, deep meditation is the same brain waves as hypnosis, but you need to have a
Okay.
practice of meditation. It can be harder for you, and you're very diligent and patient, and you get in there and you do the work. A lot of people are like, I can't sit still long enough to do meditation.
Right.
Hypnosis is like the quicker way to get into that state. And then when you are working with a practitioner, they're able to
Yeah.
guide you and be the detective. right? But you were able to do that on your own, which is so
Mhm.
amazing. Now you asked how it comes out in the body. The body is always trying to keep you safe. Always, always, always. So I told you about my fertility
Mhm.
journey trying to keep me safe by making a physiological response to my embryos, first of all. Second of all, I had a lot of sleep issues before hypnosis. I could not sleep. I just could not sleep. And I'd be awake from 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock every single day and just so wound up. So my nervous system was stuck in fight or flight, stuck. So we're supposed to be able to toggle from fight or flight to rest and digest. If a tiger is chasing you, you need to be able to run away. That is important. So you need to be able to access fight or flight. But the way that it shows up in
Mhm.
the body is that we can be chronically stuck there, which is what causes that disease or disorder or anxiety.
Mhm.
My hypnotherapist explained it to me. She's like, if you've ever seen a cat get chased by a dog and the cat runs up the tree and it's up in the branches and its back is arched and it's hissing and it's swatting and the dog is barking and barking and barking. Then the dog finally realizes, I can't climb trees. I'm going to go find something else to do. The dog goes away and then the cat will then let its back come down out of the tree. Maybe it lays in the grass and in the sun and just starts to lick its fur. It's no longer hissing and swatting because the danger is gone now. And what we have a hard time doing is stopping to lick our fur.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
I
So
love that
we're
analogy.
Isn't it
Yeah.
good?
Writing
Yeah,
it down.
yeah.
Cat
Name
licking.
Lindsay. Fabulous hypnotherapist. But that stuck with me. Like I've had
That's
that in my
so
brain
good.
15 years because I was like, that was me. And so
Yeah.
therapy taught me to lick my fur. It gave me the ability to follow the neural pathway. I'd been stuck up in fight or flight since the day I was born. Since I
Oh,
was
wow.
born.
How many women do you think are actually living in that fight or flight, in survival mode?
Oh, I mean, all of us. However,
Is it
that
like a
being said,
constant thing, right? It's like a daily thing.
yeah, I think you're
Right.
right. And I think I work with a lot of type A, and we think that's our personality. Like, I mean, how many of us get addicted
They call
to
themselves, like,
Mm.
type A. Like, people say, "Oh, I'm type A." Is that actually a thing, or is it something that we've made up?
I think it's a thing. I
Okay.
definitely identify as type A myself,
Oh, you're type A? Yeah.
and that is part of my personality, but I
Mhm.
had to learn to come down and to rest and digest for my health because it wasn't just that I couldn't get pregnant. That was a symptom of being in fight or flight all the time,
Okay.
but I had chronic fatigue.
Yeah.
I had unexplained injuries that weren't healing no matter what I did. I like
Right.
so I think that this will really explain, Whitley, your question. How did it show up in the body? So I had this one shoulder, for example, that I was constantly injuring in fitness. And I'm type A. I went to physio. I went to massage. I did my rehabilitation exercises. I had enough protein. I took my supplements and my stupid shoulder was not getting better. And I even got frozen shoulder at one point. And like I said, it was 27. Like these were we call it overuse,
Mhm.
right? Well, when I got into body talk and hypnotherapy, I found out that my shoulder was a place that I liked to dump a lot of memory and emotion. And our shoulders
Oh.
present responsibility, over responsibility, and soldiering through. Do you relate to that? Soldiering through.
Mhm.
I
The
relate to
way
that.
Pushing through.
pushing through. Here's how it shows up in the body. If you if you can picture military soldiers standing, what
Mhm.
do? They pull their shoulders down and back. Their chest is up. They're locked in.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The muscles that are part of that structure is your subscapularis muscle that has to lock in and be down and back. And when you lock down your subscapularis, you go into heart protection mode. It's related to the pericardium meridian. So subscapularis, you lock it down, serratus anterior, all of these shoulder muscles, lock it down, heart protection mode. Because how on earth could you go and kill another human being if your heart is open? You
Wow.
can't. You can't. So therefore, you soldier through. And that is a posture that I was this soldiering through because I'd been soldiering through since I was a little kid. So my subscapularis was locked down, which wasn't allowing anything else to move properly. And I ended up with frozen shoulder. So I had to go into the belief systems of why I needed to soldier through in the first place and rework that from when I was a little kid. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
I
I don't
think
have
there's a lot of us. You have no
now.
shoulder issues now. This makes
Nope.
me think of my mother. My poor mother has so many body issues, and she's changed her eating, her lifestyle like drastically. But I keep telling her, I'm like, Mom, and there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. And I'm like, I feel like there's probably a lot of like trauma, emotional stuff, like it's emotional energy that's stuck in the body. And I feel like when you start to work on that and resolve that, you're going to see such a huge difference in your physical body.
Mhm.
And I think there's so many of us women who are like, you mentioned it, like chronic fatigue. Like Sherry, she's like, she's exhausted today. I'm like, I'm exhausted today. And I'm like, I don't understand like why I'm so tired. Like we're sleeping, we're getting enough sleep. We eat relatively okay, like for the most part. But it's like, I think there's a lot of women who are feeling stiff. Their body feels stiff. They've got ailments in the body. They're feeling exhausted. They're tired. They're relying on caffeine to get them through the day, and they're juggling so many things. And I think there's so much more to just going to the gym,
Mhm.
eating a healthy
Self-care.
lifestyle, self-care. You're right about that, Cher. I think it goes a little bit deeper. And for me, I've always been very in tune with myself. And so for me, it's like when something's off and I'm misaligned or something, I just feel like I keep hitting a block. I feel like it's like my inner being's way of saying, "Hey girl, it's time to sit and it's time to tune in and let whatever needs to come up, like usually like emotions, shit that I'm like carrying." I'm like so fascinated by this because this is your expertise. This is, I know, where you rock and roll. I really, really would love to hear, how can women start to feel good and feel safe in their bodies once and for all?
Hmm. There's a couple of things, a couple little tips that I'll give you. First of all, when you, Whitley, when you were just talking and Sherry, you're talking about being exhausted. Let's try this together. We both, and I've had an exhausting week. I think sometimes as do you ladies identify as empaths?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So
Yeah.
if you're an
I
empath,
think especially now that I'm getting older, I feel like more of it. Does that make sense?
I think we could become more aware of it. I didn't realize I was an empath till I was 35 because
Yeah.
I'm extremely
That's
extroverted,
crazy.
and I assumed that empaths were introverted,
Yeah.
right? So but
I'm
oh my gosh,
extroverted too. Yeah.
yes. Yes, so sometimes we don't know. But I mean, if I could not be more of a quintessential empath. It is wild. And I mean, even in my human design,
Mhm.
I am an empath. Like it's even that way. So I think sometimes when we're really exhausted, we're also picking up on the energies of what's happening. I had a heavy week this week because there's just heavy stuff going on
Mhm.
in my
Mhm.
community, and I'm feeling that. So, Whitley, you asked, like, how can we feel better? Two ways. First of all, for me, I'm very visceral, as in I feel things in my body. Not everyone does. Not everyone does, but most of us do. We're just disconnected from it. And as an athlete, I was really good at telling my ankle to shut up. Like, I just need you to be quiet so I can push through, right? So through body talk and hypnotherapy, I was learning to actually reconnect and listen to my body again.
Mhm.
I was pissed at it. So I was like, body, I loved the fitness industry so much. And I did eventually have to retire because my body was not getting better. And it wasn't because I needed to go to more physio or more massage. It was because my body was saying, I don't want to do this. But my heart was saying, "Please, please, like, I
Mhm.
wanted to teach fitness until I was 85 years old, like, this is not part of my plan." But my body was like, "I don't wanna do this, I can't do this." And in order for me to get pregnant, I did have to leave the fitness industry, and I did have to recover all of my energy and pull it in. I did have to figure out that I was an empath and put in the proper protection. I did have to go slow
Wow.
and really fucking hard. It was really hard.
Yeah.
That was part of it. First of all, is like what Lee was saying, it's understanding it, being in tune with yourself. So if you feel like you don't know what's happening north of your chin, here's how you can try. So when you think about being exhausted, and if you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're not driving, close your eyes for a minute. And for both of you, think about that feeling of being exhausted when you're thinking about, oh my gosh, I have so much to do, whatever it might be. Like, what exhausts you? Think about that feeling of being exhausted, and instead of trying to push through it or push past it, ask yourself, where do I feel this in my body, this exhaustion? And when you're ready, just let me know what popped up for you.
For me, it's my head. It's like my head and my neck and my shoulders.
Yeah. Okay. And is there
Mm.
emotion coming up for you, Whitley?
Yeah, like just tired. Like it's just yeah, I mean, not to like go too deep in here, but I feel like it's a feeling of fatigue of having to continue to push on and that the mountain never ends. Once I get so high, I'm like, "Oh, right on, I've got here." And then it's like, "No, still some more to climb, still some more to climb."
What's your human design?
Uh, what is a manifesting generator?
Yeah, me too. So we like to change our mind. We like to move real fast. As soon as we get the peak, we go to the next summit. So it's being able to sink into the feeling of be here now. That was one of the mantras, quote unquote, that my hypnotherapist would put in for me was be here now. Be here
Mhm,
now. Be here now instead of always looking forward. Now, looking forward is part of my personality. I love that about myself. But
mhm,
also, can I look forward and be here now too? And can I
mhm.
toggle and lick my fur and be here now?
Looper.
Right? So, Whitley, think about I wonder if you could just put your hands on your head where you felt that tension up at the top and you said down into your shoulders. And that makes perfect sense to me because we were talking about soldiering through. That's your
Mhm,
subscapularis muscles. That's all
mhm.
through your trapezius, that whole upper body. It starts here, but it goes down into your shoulders. You're like, there's always a mountain to climb. It's soldiering through. So I'm just going to push through, even though my body's asking for rest. Right?
Mm. Yeah.
That's what it's at. So if you put your hands on that place where you felt it and then just feel what you can do is imagine that exhaustion. Now that you've identified, okay, my body's asking for rest. I wonder if you could imagine that feeling like a triangle from your hands down to your shoulder blades. And if you could give that feeling of exhaustion and tired a color, what would that color be?
A yellow pops up, comes to mind.
Cool.
Yeah, yellow.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So we don't have to make sense of it. It's just giving you.
Yellow.
So if you
Okay.
color
Okay.
yellow, how it goes from your shoulders to the top of your head. Would you feel safe to allow all that yellow to come up into your hands and then pull it out?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you know what just came in for me? Was that
Mhm.
if I let go of the exhaustion my goodness. Okay, I'm having a revelation in real time right now. I am. Okay. This is so cool, by the way. I just had a message come through that literally said to me that I'm holding on, like, almost like I'm holding on to the exhaustion. My whole life has been struggle. It has literally been like fighting through, soldiering on, and fighting battles. And it's become a big part of my identity. Sherry and I have
Mhm.
been stepping into some really big, like, shoes, like, just really up leveling and changing our identities for what we're building. And something that when you just asked me that, the thing that came through was like, oh my gosh, if you let go of the old version of you. If you let go of the story, then who will you be almost? Like, it's almost like I'm afraid to let go of that person who got me to where I am today.
Mhm.
Damn,
Right?
that's a little
Wow.
bit of an epiphany. A little bit of epiphany.
What you just identified, Whitley, is what we call a struggle addiction. It's a struggle
Struggle
addiction.
addiction?
A struggle addiction. You were so and I'm gonna tell you a quick story. When I was 30 and I was before I had finished I was still working for the fitness industry. I was doing all these things. I was about to do this thing I was so excited about, which was I was gonna present to 550 people for an 8-hour training at the international conference, and I was so excited and so stressed because I wanted to get it perfect. And I was talking with my dad because it was his birthday. And I had like flights, I had all these things to do. And I was like, I'm just so anxious, Dad. I'm so anxious. And he goes, well, Robyn, your anxiety is why you're able to accomplish so much. Here's my dad
Wow.
saying, God bless him. I love him so much. But he thinks like me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but the anxiety is killing me. Like I couldn't sleep anymore, all these things. So what we
Right.
need to do is say, can I keep the passion and let go of the struggle? Because what actually gets you up and over
Dang.
Whitley. It's
There you
passion. You're
go. I love
generated,
that.
right? This program is it has to be hard to be worth it.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. I'm having like the
Listen,
lights are coming
that
on.
you're identifying her personality to a T because we have these conversations all the time. Like, Whitley, let's just have fun. Let's just have fun with it. We're going to get it done if we have fun. We're going to get it done better if we just have fun with it. Right. And I
And me,
think
I'm
it's
like,
like,
"No, we gotta take this serious. Like,
yeah,
no, we can't do it like that. We gotta be on."
yeah. And me now, I'm like, I can't take that energy. I can't take that like structured energy, the hard energy. I'm like, no, we got to have fun. That's how my mind, that's how I work. Right. So I can see that in her, what you're saying to her right now.
You are good, Robyn. You
You're
are so
good. Yeah.
good.
What I want to say, though, is when I asked you, do you feel safe to let this yellow go? Because you identified the yellow as the exhaustion. Do you feel safe to let the exhaustion go, knowing that your passion is what's actually getting you over the mountain, not the exhaustion? Would it be safe to let it go, knowing that you can keep the passion?
I mean, consciously, I wanna say, yeah.
And you're so smart because you just said consciously. So now I want you to close your eyes and take a big deep breath all the way in, all the way up, and hold it. And then when you're ready, let it out. Subconscious mind. What percentage out of 100 am I willing to let go of the yellow?
So weird. I don't know why it's just 30%. Why 30%
30%.
came to
Okay.
mind.
The subconscious doesn't make sense. 30%. So Whitley, that now lets you know where your work is. Because consciously you want to let go of the exhaustion. Subconsciously, just like me with trying to get pregnant, subconsciously your body is saying, no, no, no. If I let go of the exhaustion, I will not be safe. So then that's your work. And
Ooh.
that's where we do a regression, because we would want to find out, when did you first believe that you had to be exhausted to be successful?
I gotta come see you. I'm booking a session with you. I've seen this. This is my mother. I've seen my mother struggle and be exhausted. I've seen my grandmother struggle and be exhausted. Like, it's just that's all I've seen my whole life. So it makes sense that that would be ingrained in me. And yeah, I think you're right. It's like I think last year I had a taste of what it felt like to actually slow down and rest and to be in a receptive mode instead of constantly doing an output. And it was amazing. I loved it so much. But now I'm entering a season where I'm like, I can't sit back and rest. I can't sit back and just expect things to come to me. I can't just be. I can't be. I got to be
Mhm.
doing. And maybe that's that. It sounds not maybe. It sounds like that's actually where a lot of the work is laying for me. So thank
Right.
you.
Can you honor your ancestry and your hardworking women in your lineage and also do it another way?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. So have a little conversation with your mom and your ancestors. Like, just go into your meditation and have a conversation with them and say, thank you for your strength. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. And now I'm going to do it another way. And you can too.
Oof.
Ooh. Yeah.
You don't have to do it hard.
No,
Yeah.
it's safe for it to be easy. So that's an affirmation. But if your subconscious believes that it has to be hard, it'll be like, whatever. So
Right.
that's, I
Right.
think that
Yeah.
whether you're talking about like an ancestral line here. So I would go and have a little chat with your ancestors and just honor them first. That's what I would do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sherry, when we were
Oh,
talking about
wow.
the exhaustion, where did you feel that in your body?
My back.
Okay, so
My
that's
lower
foundation.
back.
Your lower back, yeah,
Yeah.
so that's foundation.
Yeah.
So when I said exhaustion, and we talked about foundations, and you said you wanna have fun, but exhaustion, when it's in your foundations, you're like, "Yeah, but having fun isn't gonna make me money." So
Yeah.
consciously, you're like, "Yeah, I wanna have fun, that's who I am," but subconsciously, you're like, "I've never seen people make money and have fun." Have you? Have you ever, do you have an example of people who make money having fun?
I think it stems from when evidence that I have of making money, where it came from a deep-rooted passion of mine and having fun with that, but I'm not having fun with the things that I don't wanna do. So, yeah, I think I'm, like, trying to push through the things that I don't wanna do so I can get to the fun.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
here's my question for you. Put your hand on your low back where you feel
Yeah.
that exhaustion,
Mhm.
and ask your subconscious mind, the shit that I don't want to do, can I farm that out? Can I farm it out? Can I hire it out? Can I give it away?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Mhm.
So figure out what you have to
There's a
do and
couple
what you
things
like,
that
cuz
come up here.
yeah.
There's one, it's the trust factor,
Yep.
the control, and the money factor.
I don't have enough money to only do the
Mhm.
stuff that's fun.
Yeah.
So see how that goes back to the fruit roll up, cuz the fruit roll up was fun food. and your mom only had money for healthy food.
We're learning. We're learning.
Well, isn't that so cool?
So
So what
cool.
So cool.
Sherry,
Yeah.
when you get tired and your back hurts, you
Mhm.
need so you can then put your hand on your back and say, "Body, how can I have fun in this moment?" Because it's your back telling you that you're doing a lot of drudgery,
I
and so that but it goes
that
down
I
to the
need
belief
fun.
system of there's no money for fun. There's no money for fun.
You
Mm,
got it. You got it. You got it.
dang.
Yeah. I often find myself going, "Oh, well, I have this belief system where I know when you let go of money energetically, it comes back. I know this because I've done it, right? But there's still that subconscious belief system that operates on a day to day in intervals where I'm like catching myself going, you're thinking about not spending that money. You really don't want to let it go, you know? So I'm still believing that subconsciously.
So then what I would say the work for you would be is when you're on your own and you can just drop in and just close your eyes, just like we just did when I asked you that question, go talk to that little girl who wanted the fruit roll up and be like, it's okay
Hmm.
to want the fruit roll up. You're not hurting anybody by wanting the fruit roll up. And yes, there might not be money here, but guess what?
Yeah.
In the future, you can have all the fruit roll ups you want.
I'm going to go and buy a fruit roll up just for
You
that.
should. And then talk to her.
Go
Just talk.
buy a fruit roll up.
Yes.
I'm
And just keep it
going
on your
to,
desk.
I swear. I'm going to keep it and I'll be like, in honor of Robin, like, she told me to go get my fruit roll up because I
Have
can.
a favor. And just remind yourself and
Thank
you have
you.
yeah, you're so
Thank
welcome.
you. This is really interesting, and I think it sounds like there's so much more deeper than we realize when we're making decisions in our businesses as women too. Like when we're saying no to things, and that brings me to the next question about boundary setting. Where are women hurting themselves? What are some things that women are doing when they're not setting their boundaries? What are they doing to their body when they're doing that?
Well, most of us were taught that setting boundaries is bad because if you set a
Mhm.
boundary, you have to say no to somebody else and yes to yourself. And then what do we know about that? Well, that's selfish, right? So when we were
Mhm.
kids, when we set boundaries, we were called selfish. When we said we didn't want to do something, we were called rebellious. When we said, I don't want to eat that, we were
Mhm.
called grateful. So we were taught really young that setting boundaries is bad. And when you
Mhm.
feel like you can't set a boundary, because so even, and I'm terrible, I shouldn't say that. Cancel clear. I am working on my boundaries every single day because I get a major stress response when I have to set a boundary. Sweaty palms, rash, the whole like sick in my stomach, that kind of thing. And I'm working on that all the time. But the way that I see it in my clients is if you're not able to set boundaries, it often shows up as extra weight on the body. The body will set it
Oh.
geographically for you, which is a physical boundary. It's because it's trying to create space between you and them, you and their energy, the best way that it knows how. So just like how it was, my body was attacking embryos. So it's like you need boundaries, but you can't set them. Let's put weight on you.
Okay.
And so I specialize in weight loss, metabolism, and body image as my specialty, but through the empathic lens. Because
Mm.
until you have safety outside of your body through the energetics, your body's not going to stick to eating well and exercising and moving.
Yeah.
Just like let me get pregnant, your body's you're going to feel unmotivated, you're going to self-sabotage, you're going to, eat an entire bag of cookies even if you only wanted one because your body's like it's important that I keep this weight on. So instead, in my work, we give the body protection that it needs so that it can let go of the weight.
Okay.
It's giving it an alternative. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will
of
do the
course.
quick with you,
Yeah,
and then I will give you a link to my podcast because we go through a longer version of the bubble of protection.
perfect. Yeah, we can link
Perfect.
it.
Yeah. Okay. So, but this is how I would do it. It's you could do this eyes open if you're driving, but if you are not driving, go ahead and close your eyes. And then take a big deep breath all the way in, all the way up, and then just hold it. And then when you're ready, just let that breath out and give your body permission to relax, to let go, and feel the surface that you're sitting on. Just be here now in this moment, nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. And as you sit here and as you breathe, I wonder if you could imagine that you are perfectly surrounded by a beautiful, magical bubble. And you might be surprised to know that this bubble cannot be popped. This bubble is flexible. You can expand it or you can pull it in. And the wonderful thing about this bubble is that anybody else's thoughts or feelings or opinions or judgments will bounce off this bubble out into the universe, never to return. Anything that is not meant for your highest good will bounce off this bubble out into the universe, never to return. And this is your bubble, and it cannot be popped. It's always with you. Now, I wonder if you could put your thumb and finger together as if you were making an okay sign. And from this point forward, every time you put your thumb and finger together, you will be reminded of your bubble of protection. And anytime you feel like you need to be reminded of this energetic protection, you'll put your thumb and finger together and you will immediately feel safe and protected by your bubble. And you'll find it so easy just to bounce off other people's crap. It's not yours. You are responsible for you. And inside this bubble of protection, that feels really easy. So each and every time you put your thumb and finger together, you will bounce off other people's feelings, thoughts, emotions, and judgments. And this is so. So go ahead and take a big, deep breath. And when you're ready, you can just open up your eyes, knowing that that bubble goes with you everywhere. You can access it with your thumb and finger together.
That was so cool.
It was. You have a very calming voice.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I could fall asleep to this.
Yeah.
Thank you. In hypnotherapy, we call that our patter. So I have a hypnotherapy voice, and I drop down into that when I'm doing hypnotherapy. And then
Ah,
that signals
whoa.
your subconscious, it's time, it's go time. So as you become sensitized to my voice, if you listen to me do hypnosis, then your nervous system starts to associate that with the hypnotic state.
Very
Ooh.
cool. Very.
Okay.
Robyn, we're gonna include your links so people
Mhm.
can connect with you.
Yeah.
We'll leave that in the show notes, everyone. We want to say thank you so very much for being here with us today. You shared some incredible wisdom, knowledge, and hopefully some really great tools and practices that our audience can take away today. But as you know, Robyn does this for her work. So if you're curious about possibly working with Robyn or checking out her work, you can connect with her. We'll leave her links in the show notes.
And let us know what you thought about the episode as well.
Okay.
Bye, Robyn.